Dai, and Dawa. A Dai is generally someone who engages in Dawa, the act of inviting people to Islam, but is more specifically an important religious office amongst the Ismaili Shia Muslims, which has been held by important scholars through history. In the Fatimid era Ismaili faith, the term Dai has been used to refer to important religious leaders other than the hereditary Imams, and the Dawa or mission is a clerical-style organization. Literally meaning absolute missionary or unrestricted missionary, Dai al-Mutlaq is nowadays the title of the head of the Dawoodi Bohra community. Some of the greatest Ismaili Dais are Mu'ayyad Filton al-Shirazi 1000–1078. Idris Maid-Din al-Qurashi died c. 1460, one of the most important sympathetic sources on the Fatimids. Dawa, its literal meaning is to invite others to Islam and is the Islamic equivalent to the Christian word, mission. The word dawat is derived from dua means to call, invite or summon, and thus the term Dai denotes one who summons. The word Dawa is also used in the sense of prayers, such as Dawat al-mazlum prayer of the oppressed, or Dawah bil shifa prayer of the health. The word Dawa virtually coined in the time of Imam Jafar Sadik and Abdullah bin Maymun founded the Ismaili Dawa organization in Basra. T.W. Arnold writes in The Preaching of Islam al-Ghair, 1896, p. 277 that, the Ismailis were the master of organization and tactics at the time of Abdullah bin Maymun. W. Ivano writes in Collectania Holland, 1948, p. 20 that, the only branch of Islam in which the preaching of religion, dawat, was not only organized but even considered of special importance, was Ismailism. According to the Encyclopedia of Ilm Leiden, 1965, 2. 168, the word dawat is well known as applied to the widespread Ismaili propaganda movement, appealing to Muslims to give their allegiance to an Imam descended from Ismail bin Jafar Sadik. Soon afterwards, Salamia became the headquarters of Ismaili Dawa after Basra, then Maymun became the Dai-generating hub. Indeed, very little is known about the actual mission Dawa system of early Ismailism, but it is however certain that the Ismaili mission was brisk and pervasive throughout the Islamic regions. In the broadest terms, it seems that Imam Muhammad bin Ismail was represented by 12 huts in different regions, and under them, a hierarchy of missionaries. Dais conducted the different tasks of initiation and instruction. The Ismaili Dais stimulated a network of the mission in many parts of the Abbasid Empire, and there was plenty of its activity even outside it. They fully exploited the socio-economic conditions of the sections of society to attract them towards the mission on one hand, and the philosophical interpretations of the teachings of Islam to attract the thinking sections of the society on the other. For purposes of mission, the world was divided into 12 parts, each being called Jazira, usually translated as an island, known as the island of the earth Jazira al-Arad. It is difficult to say whether Jazira really meant an island. One can broadly agree with W. Ivano when he says, "It appears that in this sense Jazira does not mean the island, as it usually means, but is taken here in its basic sense, from the root j-z-r equals to cut off, and therefore means a slice, cutting, or a part, a section. Therefore the expression 12 Jazair should be translated as the 12 sections of the world population. They are Arabs, Turks, Berbers, Negroes, Abyssinians, Khazars, China, Dalam, Rum and Sakaliba. Thus this classification is partly based on geographical, and partly on ethnographical principle, and plainly belongs to the 4th/10th century. The Rise of the Fatimids, Calcutta, 1942, p. 21. Very interesting speculations on the ideal virtues of the Dai are given in the treatise of Qadi Noman d. 363–974 in Kitabul Himma fi Dabat Balama. Qadi Noman writes that, the Dai must carefully study the ideas which he preaches, must personally know every member of his community, know their affairs, their aspirations. With this knowledge at his disposal he must gradually deliver his call to God and his saints, in such a way as not to overtax the intelligence and the patience of his audience. When he has explained to his followers what he wanted to teach them, He must know how to handle them. He must learn to observe the people, recognize the state of their minds, their abilities, extent of their endurance. This is the most important knowledge needed by the Dai for the organization and training of his followers. Ignorance of such matters tremendously affects his work, and the community suffers from this. The Fatimid Dawah was greatly expanded under Imam al-Hakim, who concerned with himself with the Dawah organization. The Fatimid Days are carefully selected and trained at the Dar al-Hikmah and elsewhere in Cairo, who were dispatched to various regions in the Muslim world, both inside and outside the Fatimid Empire. In Egypt, Syria, Iraq and Persia, the Days operated in rural and urban areas. The Fatimid Dawah reached its peak in the period of Imam al-Must in Syrbila, and a large number of the people entered the Ismaili fold in Central Asia. The small and scattered Nizari Ismailis of al-Mutlaq period did not have an elaborate mission organization developed during the Fatimid period. Until the emergence of the Imams, the chief Dai executed as the Hawks of the Imams. Next came the rank of Dai al-Kabir, Dai, Rafiq and Fi Dai. In Syria, however, the rank of Hujjat was second to that of the Imam, having the title of al-Mawla al-Sabib, Taj al-Din crown of the religion, and Maid al-Din glory of religion. The Hujjat was assisted by a number of Days who carried titles of Nachib officer, Yana wing and Nazir inspector. The Dai appointed to be commander of a castle was called Wali.